Marc Hunt is going to be coming up. Marc is on our administrative team. He's going to share with us a financial overview over the past year. Marc?
Appreciate it. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marc Hunt, and I get the privilege of sharing a financial update. So don't panic. This is not a ask for money, right? This is a reflection. This is all about transparency. This is transparency about y'all's generosity and giving and about our stewardship of those resources. So I am using notes just to make sure I hit on everything as we go through. So as we jump in, so the first thing we're going to take a look at here is giving over the last 12 months. So first thing to really call out is this is as of December 31st, 2021, right? So we're already now 2 months in as of tomorrow in 2022. This is all looking back at 2021. So one thing you'll notice, right, is a significant jump in giving. And that really is a celebration of y'all's generosity. As we looked into those numbers over the last couple weeks, what we really noticed was an increase in new givers and an increase in average gifts and an increase in, we had several folks who gave large sums. And so for that, we are very grateful of those resources. So thank you all for your generosity over the last year. Now as we jump into expenses, so you'll notice here in expenses, you do see a small tick up, but for the most part, over the last year, expenses really stayed reasonably flat, especially when you compare those to that significant increase on the income side. A couple of things we'll call out here as we go in is the salaries and benefits line. So we did have some staff changes in 2021. We also had some increases in salaries for our staff, such as cost of living increases and some increases in some of their benefits as well. Right, so we as the admin team take very seriously taking care of our staff and want to make sure that they feel taken care of in their benefits and their income as well. Another thing that you may see is in building maintenance. And so as we look at building maintenance, if you remember, when we came off the square, one of the things that we called out was an intentionality to try to stay reasonably flat on a monthly cost coming off the square, right? So we were paying rent on the square. We did not want to come into a building and start having to spend significantly more money in this building. So for the most part, on a monthly basis, that is true. The increase that you see in building and maintenance over the last year or two, a lot of that is due to enhancements that we have chosen to take the opportunity to make here at the church. One of the things you shall notice here over the last couple months, and this will show up in this year's, is doing things like the sidewalks. Right, we have opportunities to invest in this property. This property is our asset, and we'll get into that here in just a minute as well. So after looking at income and then looking at expenses, that then takes us here to net income and what we do with that net income. So given y'all's generosity and the fact that we were able to maintain those expenses reasonably flat, that gave us a surplus or net income of $873,000 last year, which is pretty incredible to get to say. So with that, right, we were able to continue to add money to our cash and to our savings, as well as create a dedicated fund focused on the building, right? So part of having a building like this means that at some point in time, we're going to have some very significant maintenance, air conditioning units, roofs, things like that. Those things cost a lot more money than they do in our houses, right? And so having that money set aside, we want to be very intentional about that here in the church. So you'll see that called out here with the almost $305,000 that we continue to, on a regular basis, put money into that account. That is what it's for. Another thing to call out on the cash and savings is we talk every time we come together. The admin team will be together again this Wednesday. Whenever we do a financial update, we compare that financial update to what we need to have 90 days cash on hand, right? So 90 days cash on hand means if we did not take in another dollar, how much cash would we have to sustain the function and the operations of the building for the next 90 days? That number is about $500,000, right? So while you see the cash and the savings account, about $500,000 of that is spoken for, and for the most part, we're not going to touch that and get into that. That's money that we always take reference and baseline off of in every decision that we make from a financial perspective. All right, so the last one, at risk of folks' eyes glazing over, I get it. This is so I got to work on this with Ben over the last week. Ben talks, and I'm like, yes, I trust you that these are the right things. So assets and liabilities, right? So for me, my main takeaway on this is the fact that when we came off the square, right, one of the main benefits of this was we were no longer paying rent that just went away on a monthly basis. We're now paying toward a mortgage on an asset that belongs to the church, right? This building and this land is our church's asset. And so as we continue to pay that mortgage, we're gaining more and more value in this asset while reducing the debt that we owe on this building. And so that's really what we represent here, right? Is that the value of this land, building, all these beautiful fixtures within it, that continues to grow in value. Our cash and assets continue to grow in value, and we continue to pay down that mortgage. This past year, we made several decisions to pay more towards the mortgage, as well as make several lump sums towards that mortgage with that net income and surplus that we had. So with all of that, my main takeaways as we go through it this year is, one, it has been so valuable for me to get to spend time over the last couple weeks meeting with David, working with Ben, meeting with Mark Chapman to really dig into these numbers. And my encouragement to each of y'all is I am so grateful, and we as the admin team are so grateful for your generosity over 2021. And I would also encourage you that every time we talk about numbers and talk about finances with that admin team, we have a church staff who are incredible stewards of those resources. Right? They are rarely, if ever, asking for more, right? They are looking for how they can steward it well. And that is so nice to be able to see. And it is a great encouragement to us, and I'm so grateful for that. So with that, Kim is going to send these slides out this week. If you have more questions, please reach out to Kim. She can connect you with the right folks for us to dig in. But I'm going to hand it over to David.
We are super grateful for your generosity, faithfulness in giving, and the reason we do that, one of the concerns people have about churches like ours, independent churches, is who's kind of watching the cash register. Are we getting to do whatever we want? And so in the gathering where we have the most people, which is a Sunday morning, we want to show you it's a high-level overview, but it is an overview of what's going on, of what we're doing with what you've given to us. And if you have any questions, reach out. We have an open book policy, and so if there's things that if you want to dive in deeper, you can reach out to Kim at StoneBridgeMarietta.org, and she will make sure to connect you to one of these guys on the admin team who can hopefully answer whatever your questions are. And we take that seriously. We want trust is that's kind of the currency that we have, and so we don't want to do anything that would cause you to lose trust in the decisions that we're making with what y'all are giving.